I hurt for a long time. There was a lot of pain. I remember going home after having the abortion. I was in so much pain, and my sister left me on my bed. I had a basement bedroom. My parents had no idea, and I was just sitting there, and I was just alone, and I was crying in pain. And I was just like, what just happened? And I'm alone, and nobody's here to comfort me or talk to me. What just happened? And when I realized what happened, I repented for it. I asked God to forgive me, and that I would never do it again. And I just wish there was never a choice. I wish I would have never had that. My name is Laura Arcuri, and I grew up in the Midwest, Illinois, and my home life was alcoholics, and it was abusive. It was pretty broken. My parents started having children at a young age. I guess I lived in fear. I lived in fear for a long time. I was 17 years old. I had just got out of high school, and I wasn't even sure of the dad. So I did know it was between two people. Within the timing when I found out, I had one of them that had moved to Texas, and I couldn't get a hold of him, and the other one denied it. So I felt very alone in my situation on what to do, and I consulted in my sister, who was only a year older than me. Her answer was just abort it. I still wanted the input of a possible father before at least saying anything to my parents, but without having a assurance that I could face that, it seemed like it wasn't available to me. So I felt like I started running out of options. And coming out of high school, I felt like I had no direction. I didn't have a real relationship with my own father, so I think in a way I was trying to fill a void. I just wanted to know what love was. So I kind of was not really knowing, other than basically if they were interested in my body, that I would know what love was. I was young. I didn't understand the choices I was making at that time, looking back. But in that moment, being a teenage girl, I wanted to have someone love me. And I was just trying to fill it. And then when I got pregnant, I wasn't thinking about the baby. I was thinking about the boy, and is he going to love me to have his child? And just crazy ideas that a teenage girl was going through. And so I just was a teenager, just looking for love in all the wrong places. When I had left the other boyfriend, I mean, obviously, at a teenager, it's kind of like you just end one relationship and you can pick up on another. It's just because it's part of the interest. And that ended up being another relationship that I ended up just not investigating too much into, just felt that my body was the answer. So I, obviously just did young, dumb stuff at that time. However, without any answers, and knowing that who my dad was, I may have gotten kicked out of the home, and I had nowhere to go. And if I knew that the boy that I got pregnant by would accept me, then I would have a place to go. At least in my mind, I was thinking trying to think things through. I was very scared, and I was only 17, so I wasn't able to, but she talked to the people that in Chicago is where we were able to go, because at that time I was living in Indiana. I still wasn't sure about my decision, but I was closest to my sister, and I never consulted my mother either. And I figured my sister was going to make the best decision for me. So I trusted her decision and felt that she was looking out for me. And she had a boyfriend at the time who was over 18. And he said that he would go with us to sign for me to have the abortion. Well, I mean, she was 18 too, so, and he was going to help pay for it. So they made everything a little easier for me to make that decision. And even went and made the appointment, didn't give me too much time to think about it. At that time, I believe I was 6 weeks pregnant. And when I found out and they told me I had to wait just a little bit longer, or I can't remember, I know that there was something I had to wait for. And as soon as the time came, they just picked me up and took me straight to where I needed to go. I remember there was protesters in front. I felt it wasn't right going into the abortion clinic and walking in and saying that I felt something wasn't right. I was raised Catholic, but my parents weren't, I guess, really. I mean, it was just a Sunday thing, an hour to go do. So in reality, did I really understand? Did I really understand? No, I didn't. Looking back now, I didn't understand. It was a thing that I felt I was just doing when we went to church. I was very nervous. I was very scared. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know. I felt like very empty and alone. And I was not certain on what I was thinking. I felt confused. I felt like there was, like my sister, this was the answer. And yet I felt that, why is that got to be the answer? And I didn't want it to be the answer, but I didn't feel that there was any other answer. So being 17, you don't know a lot about life. And I didn't trust, any other decision at that time. So I just kind of felt like I went numb and then started going through the emotions after my fear and everything. Then I just kind of went numb once I got into the facility. It was a numbness, and that there was no turning back, that I didn't have an opportunity to turn back. So, and when they took me in and claimed to have counseled me, it really was not a counseling from what I remember. They just basically explained I was going to go through a procedure and that they were going to move me from one room to the other after the procedure. And there wasn't are you sure you want to do this? There are options. I didn't get any additional help at that time. I wish there would have been more help. I wish I would have talked to someone else. I wish there would have been a chance for me to not have a choice, so that I would have been able to know what life would have been like without having to have a choice. Because that choice I think about, it could have changed some dynamics in my life. And I hurt for a long time. There was a lot of pain. I remember going home after having the abortion. I was in so much pain, and my sister left me on my bed. I had a basement bedroom. My parents had no idea, and I was just sitting there, and I was just alone, and I was crying in pain. And I was just like, what just happened? And I'm alone, and nobody's here to comfort me or talk to me. What just happened? And when I realized what happened, I repented for it. I asked God to forgive me, and that I would never do it again. And I just wish there was never a choice. I wish I would have never had that. It was very painful and very alone. It was a very lonely place to be. When I look at my boys, I have 3 boys living now. I think that could have been my girl that I wanted. With that dynamic of them not knowing what it's like to have a sister, or the dynamic of me raising a daughter, that dynamic of having that 4th child in my house. At every holiday, I could tell you that I still feel it. Even though I know that God's forgiven me, there's still a void. That one person is missing, that belonged and deserved to be there, because that person never did anything to me. And I ended up doing that. And it was not a good decision, but I know the Lord has forgiven me, I know. But I would never want that for anybody. So when I hear about somebody wanting an abortion, I hurry up and go to them and tell them, don't do it. Because when you have a child, there is a love that nobody can take. There is an absolute bond that nobody can take. That child has a love for you nobody can take. A bond with you that nobody could take. No matter what anything else in the world is going on. It is the most beautiful thing to raise a child. And even when you feel like you have nothing, that is a lie, because there are so many people that will come and provide, and they will be there. They will. God has shown me so much. And I wish I would have believed and knew that when I made that decision. That it didn't matter about whether or not the father, I could have figured out later. I just wish I had someone else to tell me that it was going to be okay and that I didn't need to do that. So there is a void, but I believe that Jesus, He helps to mend my heart, and He has, and He's relieved me of much. And I can't believe that I still cry about it, but I know because my child is in heaven and I got life, and those other 3 boys that I had have life. And why that child did not get life was because I was lied to, and I did not deserve to have the opportunity to kill a baby, an innocent baby. I should have never had that opportunity. Why that opportunity was there was very evil. And I wish for any woman who ever thinks about it, that they give their child a chance to love them, for them to lay their eyes and know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Don't do it. It's not worth it. A child's love is like no other. Being a mother and knowing how to nurture and having all the opportunities of seeing a baby grow. We were once babies. We grew. We can teach them to be beautiful, blossom things. We can offer them back to the Lord. Allow the Lord to use them. That's what I wish for other women, is to know that the children do count, every one of them, and to love them because they have unconditional love for us. being smarter, for not trusting, and to just know that I love them and that they live in my heart. Always. Look at your options. Talk to those who have children. Talk to those who you do have trusting relationships. But don't take everybody's advice if they are talking to you and telling you it's easier to have an abortion. Talk to those who speak the other side, who's had children, who's raised children. And make sure you get all points of view and really take it into consideration on the unconditional love a child brings. Because if you don't, you'll never understand the pain. It leaves a scar in your heart. There's a wound that will live forever in your heart. That it doesn't matter, you'll turn to so many different things to try to mend it, to make it go away, to numb yourself, and it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. There's going to be something that's going to remind you of it. So make sure you talk to people who are believers in Christ. Those who can tell you there is help out there. There are people who will point you in the direction. There will be people that will support you. There will be strangers that will show up to help you. I learned along the way, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. If you end up being a single mother, you still can do it. God provides, no matter what. Find the people who will help you to understand it will be okay. And that every child matters. Every baby matters. Your choice matters. Choose life for the innocent. They deserve a chance. And even if you don't, there are options. I didn't know there was additional options. I didn't even think about giving up for adoption. I didn't even talked about adoption. I didn't talk about anything. I would just looked at one person for advice and went with that. Don't let the one person leading you to get rid of that baby be the end all. Speak to those who will help you to understand. That is a piece of you inside that you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. When it's ripped out of you, you're going to feel it. Don't let that happen. Let that baby have life. That baby was meant for something bigger than what you realize. So I'd like to say sorry to my mother, to my father, for not trusting and at least giving you the opportunity to talk with. I forgive those who advised me incorrectly. I know it really wasn't what you meant. You didn't know any better. And I apologize to my child in heaven. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And thank you. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for just knowing that I take full responsibility for my actions. But I would never want this for another person. So I just want people to know that if you get anything out of this, just know. It doesn't matter. Children are not mistakes. Even if you are a rape victim, you can give that child up for adoption. But consider that that child is still a piece of you, even though You didn't choose to have it. You didn't plan on it. Sometimes our plans are not meant to be our plans, but our plans are trusted in God's will. So if we let God's will be done, there's amazing things that can happen. The love of a child changes you. So just know, if anything, trust God's will be done. And you will know that He already had made the plan, and His plan is better than what we can ever do. So trust the plan. God bless you, and I pray that you seek for all the right answers, because the only answer is what God's will is, not ours.